Hello everyone, ReelGlide viewers. In this video, we will discuss two films from American horror cinema and Korean horror cinema, and at the same time we will talk about what they are culturally different, and at the same time we will compare these two films within themselves. But there will be no winner or loser. Then if you're ready, let's get started, have fun. American horror movie. Example, The Conjuring, 2013. This movie is based on the true stories of famous paranormal investigators named Ed and Lorraine Warren. The film uses the classic American horror theme and deals with supernatural elements such as ghosts, spiritual beings, and exoticism. It features fast-paced scenes and striking horror moments. Our second film is Korean horror movie. Example, I Saw the Devil, Akmareul, boatda, 2010. This Korean horror film is about a serial killer taking revenge by the family of his victims. The film deals with themes such as the dark aspects of human beings and social pressures and creates psychological tension. It also places great emphasis on character development and in-depth character analysis. By the way, although these two films were randomly selected, I wanted to point out that no specific criterion was taken into account when making the comparison. And let's continue. These two films reflect the different approaches of American and Korean horror cinema, each offering a special experience for its audience. The American film Horror Session uses classic supernatural horror elements, while the Korean film I Saw the Devil offers a more complex storytelling and character-driven approach. American and Korean horror films may contain different themes, horror elements, and narrative approaches due to cultural differences. Here are some examples that can be used to explain some of the distinct differences between these two cultures. Horror elements and themes. American horror movies. American horror movies often deal with classic horror themes such as occultism, ghosts, serial killers, and zombies. These films focus on stories that frequently take place at home, in the woods, or in dark places. Korean horror movies. Korean horror movies often deal with themes such as family turmoil, spiritual beings, and ancient traditional beliefs. At the same time, themes such as societal pressures, the dark side of people, and karmic revenge are often found. Style of presenting horror elements. American horror movies. American horror films often use explicit and fast-paced horror elements. They can have big-budget productions and aim to scare the audience with punchy scenes. Korean horror films. Korean horror films use less explicit horror elements and focus on creating atmospheric suspense. They build fear slowly and place great emphasis on character development. Supernatural elements. American horror movies. In American horror films, supernatural beings are often portrayed as explicit and threatening. Ghosts, demons, and monsters are frequently used. Korean horror movies. Korean horror movies can present supernatural beings in a more complex and impressive way. Ghosts are often connected to humans, and the depth of character of spiritual beings is emphasized. Family and human relationships. Korean horror movies. Korean horror movies may focus more on family and human relationships. Family conflict and family secrets play an important role in horror stories. American horror movies. American horror movies can also deal with family themes, but they often have a more individual focus and hero-centric storylines. These differences mean that American and Korean horror films can offer different types of experiences to the viewer. The horror cinema of both cultures is unique and caters to their respective audiences. Common themes and aspects can also be found between American and Korean horror films, as both cultures may share certain elements of horror cinema. Here are some commonalities. Psychological thriller. Both American and Korean horror films can emphasize psychological thriller. The mental state of the characters can be an important part of the horror elements. Horror construction. Films in both genres can slowly build fear, use atmosphere, and keep the audience under suspense. Human fear. Both American and Korean horror films can deal with people's dark sides, inner conflicts, and feelings of guilt. Moral and societal issues. Both cultures can address societal and moral issues through horror films. This can make the horror elements in the film more meaningful and deep. Supernatural elements. Classic horror elements such as supernatural beings, ghosts, and spiritual beings can be used in both genres. As in the examples, both American and Korean horror cinema may have similar themes, but the way these themes are handled and the degree to which they are emphasized can vary according to cultural differences. So, although there are commonalities in both genres, there are also unique approaches and tones that stem from different cultural perspectives. In conclusion, although there are certain similarities and differences between American and Korean horror films, both genres process horror cinema around similar themes and elements. Elements such as psychological thriller, horror construction, human fear, supernatural elements, and societal issues can be used in common in both American and Korean horror films. However, the way these themes are handled, the way they are told, and the degree to which they are highlighted can vary based on cultural differences. The horror cinema of both cultures appeals to their respective audiences, and both genres have unique and intriguing aspects. In conclusion, American and Korean horror films represent a wide and rich spectrum of the horror genre and can offer viewers different horror experiences.